Hello and welcome back to another video. This one will probably be a short one. First off, apologize for being away for a little bit. I ended up throwing my back out a little bit over a week ago, and so I've been trying to obviously get that dealt with. For the most part, that's kept me down because I can't even sit for extended periods of time. Anyway, again, this will probably be a short video. I haven't really got into the classic hardcore scene, although it is kind of interesting to me. And, you know, I kind of wanted to make a video over this, especially because of the rules of engagement and, you know, what's coming to retail in terms of this style of gameplay. First off, I want to flat out say that I definitely think that this could be a good thing. I honestly almost wonder if this could become something that gets morphed into maybe a WoW 2.0, or perhaps, you know, as it gains traction, they start to implement it into retail WoW. And I know a lot of people might not like that because, again, it's definitely hardcore. A lot of people work very hard for their characters. However, I bring it up because I see a lot of potential with this format of play. And what makes me so excited about this gameplay and what Blizzard has chosen to do with it is the duel to the death feature. I can see that being such a big thing, and, you know, especially if it got brought into retail. Especially if you're into the roleplay perspective of it. I mean, who hasn't ever been upset with a member of guild leadership or the guild master? I think there's been a lot of situations where players have gotten upset with their guild master, and I think in a lot of cases probably wanted to challenge their guild master for guild leadership. In fact, funny story, I actually have 2 guilds that are dead at this point because I got nobody in them. I got to rebuild them. But back in 2018, I had it was me, a couple brothers who were twins, and 2 other people at that point. So we had just started the guild. We were still building it. I mean, we were planning to obviously add more people, probably find people at college to add to the guild. But anyway, one of the twins, we were actually doing. I remember the story quite, you know, like it was yesterday. But we were doing some dungeons back in Legion, and the dungeon we were doing was Violet Hold, or whatever it's called. You know, it's the prison in Dalaran. We were doing the Legion version of it, and our tank left. And I was playing Frost Death Knight, and one of the twins was playing a Havoc Demon Hunter. Around about a poor communication, we recognized the tank was gone, and I proceeded to start tanking as a Frost Death Knight. Obviously, anybody who's played Classic WoW or Classic Wrath, or played Wrath back in the day, you know, Frost was the tank spec technically, or at least one of them. I mean, was it the most viable? I think in later iterations of it, most people agreed that some form of Blood Death Knight was the better tank iteration, although if I remember correctly, most of those builds still integrated a lot of the Frost talents and abilities. So it was really a Blood Frost hybrid, but it's probably what led to Blood being the preferred tank spec, and why, especially in Legion, as they moved away from the whole concept that you were the class to your character being built around a specialization, that Blood became the tank spec. But no one can argue how powerful Death Knights are. I mean, if you've geared your Death Knight right, they can pretty much do whatever. I mean, that's kind of the point of a hero class, and always has been, and that's even what the developer said with Wrath Classic and the creation of Death Knights. So then again, technically, I mean, Demon Hunter was the new Death Knight, or the new hero class at the time. So, you know, we have two players, obviously both running hero classes, and you know, obviously I had a bit more experience with tanking. This young man had never tanked before, and of course, because there was poor communication, I didn't realize that he actually transitioned to Vengeance spec, and that he was actually wanting to attempt to tank in that dungeon. And truthfully, how easy the dungeon was, I mean, it wouldn't have been an issue. But poor communication, me attempting to tank, obviously this upset him, because not only was I tanking, and he wanted to, but I was tanking in the wrong spec as far as he was concerned. Which I think is ironic, because there's plenty of achievements that surround using the wrong spec, especially when you're doing the challenges in the White Tiger Temple. But I digress. Anyway, he got upset, and it actually ruined our entire guild. Now, honestly, if we had had the option for a Mak'gora back then, do I think he would have challenged me to a Mak'gora and taken guild leadership? Yes, I do. I definitely think that at that point, both him and his brother would have wanted to take over the guild. Would he have been able to defeat me in a Mak'gora? It's hard to say. I mean, both of us knew our characters well enough, and again, at that point, what characters would we have used? Would we have used the characters where the conflict spouted? And again, I think these are rules that the guild would have to decide. But my point being, imagine how many problems could be solved if a simple Mak'gora could be issued to the guild master, and upon defeat of the guild master, that guild master's character is not only dead, but they are forced, or perhaps a system is automatically implemented, where upon the defeat and the death of the guild master's character, the guild ownership is automatically transferred to the player who killed the guild master's character. I mean, again, from the roleplay perspective, it's amazing, but again, I think it could be really useful for resolving disputes within the guild. If you don't like how your guild's being run, challenge the guild master. If you win, their character is perma-dead, and your character is the new de facto leader of your guild. Does that mean you're going to keep all your members? Who knows? I mean, the point of a Mak'gora is for it to be a public spectacle, and so if one is issued, everybody in the guild would be notified. And so I think from the perspective of not just roleplay, but the overall health of a guild community, this may very well be something that could easily be implemented into retail, even if they don't go all out hardcore in retail. And even if they don't institute permadeath against the guild leader, the penalty for losing the Mak'gora would be an automatic demotion back down to the base level of the guild, with the successor being appointed to his guild master. Again, I think it'd be relatively simple to automatically implement that system. I mean, we've already got a dethrone feature, but it's not exactly automatic. The person who the people that qualify have to go in and obviously dethrone their leader if that leader has been away for X amount of time. But again, between that and what we're dealing in adding Mak'gora, I think this could lead to some interesting outcomes. Yeah, could destroy an entire guild in the process, but I think it could also solve a lot of problems in terms of people disagreeing with guild leadership. So, I mean, let's get into this a little more. But like I said, I wanted to give my thoughts on Mak'gora because I'm really excited about that feature. It is iconic to the lore of the game, and I do think that there is a lot they can do with that, even on the retail realms. So, obviously, they announced that hardcore realms are coming to World of Warcraft. They've issued the rules, obviously explaining that death is permanent. Obviously, if you are a guild leader, you'll remain as a ghost so that you can transfer leadership. It's, they're going to have a free character transfer service. However, if you transfer the character, it's basically like going through a one-way portal. The character is transferred, and they no longer have access to the Classic Era realm, the hardcore Classic Era realm. Again, that's actually pretty cool. It's kind of interesting. And like I said, I mean, think about it like your character traveling through a one-way portal. Yes, he's getting resurrected, but he's effectively waking up in a brand new alternate universe, is what's happening. And I still think there's some realism to that. I mean, depending on the perspective you look at when you're thinking about death, we already have this concept through quantum mechanics that when you die, you only physically die in the reality that you're present in. However, you continue to exist in all other realities, and so ultimately what happens is upon death, you just continue living in another one of those realities. And so, again, it's like you never died. Again, not everybody believes that, but again, it's obviously a quantum theory. So, I like how Blizzard has implemented that. Because, again, you're dead in the hardcore world, the hardcore reality, but you continue to live in another reality. I also like how, in order to toggle PvP, you actually have to flag yourself. That's going to make things a lot better. I mean, think about all those times you are going around a place and accidentally target an enemy because they're questing in the same area as you, and let's say you accidentally, attack them. At least this way you're not going to get flagged for PvP. Disabling PvP battlegrounds and warfare. Obviously, this is just them saying, okay, well, we're not going to have PvP because we're not going to have a focus of PvP. The focus is obviously PvE mostly for hardcore, and being able to survive till level 60 or whatever max level ends up being, depending on how far they take this concept. It makes sense that they wouldn't want to have PvP because if you were able to just simply queue for a battleground, as they say, it would just trigger people to play more defensively, and ultimately would be a breeding ground for non-participation, which they already have a problem with, which is why they've had to implement procedures to address the non-participation. Now, obviously, they say you can just continue with war games, which means if you join a pre-created group, you can still, my guess would be, enter a battleground or whatnot, but again, it's called a war game, and if anybody who dies is still dead. I like that concept because it really puts it into perspective of, if you choose to, especially on the roleplay perspective, if you choose to go to battle against your enemies and you die in battle, you're not coming back. And so it's kind of really cool concept because this means you can roleplay marching off to fight another army, and that's really cool. Again, go off to war, you die. Death is permanent. I love this concept. And I honestly I'll probably get killed several times over trying to do it, because the more I learn about what they're doing, the more I actually want to get involved in this. Again, I don't care how good or bad I am at playing the game. I mean, I can build some pretty solid classes. I feel like I can do pretty good, but, that's an ego trip, obviously. I'm sure there's plenty of better players, but, again, war games, basically just like marching off to battle against the opposing faction. And, again, you die, you're dead. Obviously, they're doing updates for PvP and quests that would normally toggle PvP. They obviously explained that quests are not meant. Some of these quests were not meant to toggle PvP or to flag you as PvP. But it was likely a technical limitation at the time, but they've gotten rid of it now. They don't need that because of better systems with classic WoW, and so you're not going to end up joining one of these quests and just get killed by the enemy faction. I mean, an enemy player now. If you have a quest that requires you to die and must be completed while you're dead, it can still be completed without your character being counted as dead. That's really good. And it makes a lot of sense because it's just simulating death. Like, your character is clearly not... I mean, they're dying, but they're not really dying because... I mean, I guess I don't really know how that paradox would work, but it makes sense that for the ability to complete these quests, that they're allowing you to complete them without flagging your character as dead. Obviously, there's just... They're obviously working on changing it to where you can't just kite enemies into lower level zones, creating a lot of havoc for other level players. Dungeons are going to be placed on a 24-hour lockout timer. If you're below level 60, this basically means you just won't be able to complete a dungeon for 24 hours. So you'll have to wait 24 hours before completing a dungeon until you reach level 60. They're carrying over group experience restrictions from the Season of Mastery. And so if you group with higher level characters, they're just going to basically sap the amount of experience you have, so you can't power level. You quite literally have to level with other players at about the same level as you, or else you're just not going to get any experience. At this point, they're also removing the debuff limits, so the buff and debuff limits, which I'm sure is ultimately going to result in you being able to have basically is an infinite number of buffs, and effectively uncapping buffs and debuffs. I mean, you have pretty much all the buffs you want. The Bubble Hearth, that basically just says that if you're playing a paladin, you're not going to be able to use any of your defensive cooldowns and use a Hearthstone wall under the effects of those. And they did that to balance the fact that they disabled reincarnation and soul shards, so that you can't cheat death, basically. On that note, I do kind of see that there could be a way to allow those abilities. I mean, let's look at Warcraft 3. Let's also look at the fact that some of those abilities are already on a cooldown. Now, in terms of reincarnation, one way I think they could eventually add that back in, and I think especially if they want to carry these ideas forward into retail or a WoW 2.0 concept, we just put those on a much longer cooldown, or basically say you can only use those abilities once every X amount of time, and or once every however many levels, or whatever they want to do with that. Because I think completely disabling these abilities is kind of, yeah, it might detract from the hardcore experience in some players' eyes, but these are iconic abilities, and it's not like they're removing them from the game entirely. And honestly, I don't really see a problem with being able to reincarnate once or twice throughout a playthrough, or every several hours. Now, the problem I do see is that could lead to abuse, where somebody uses their cheat death mechanic, or their reincarnation, or soul shard, or whatnot, or even a resurrection spell. Again, I think resurrection spells should be ultimately allowed, but again, you can only use them every so often. There are limitations on that. I mean, I know that detracts from hardcore in many ways, but especially if they brought it into retail in some capacity, I definitely think it would be fun to see them allow resurrection, reincarnation, bubble hearthing, but on such a ridiculously high cooldown that while you're able to do it, the conditions are very, very difficult. I mean, heck, put it on a cooldown where you can use it maybe once every 4 or 5 days or something. I think, a cooldown that's so ridiculous that you have to be very mindful about how you utilize it would actually be interesting, because I think reincarnation, resurrection, bubble hearth, those are not only iconic to the character classes, but iconic to the lore of the game. And so to eliminate them entirely, I think, is very anti-lore. I mean, realistically, in reality, you wouldn't be able to use those. But again, we're talking about a magical game where magic is a thing. And so to completely remove them or disable them, I think that's my opinion. It goes a little too far. But let's face it. Does it detract from the hardcore experience as we know it? Again, I'm not really in the hardcore scene. I want to get involved. But from what I understand, yes, it does detract from that. But again, like I said, if we were to create WoW 2.0, or we were to recreate, or we were to implement this into retail, I think having a ridiculously long cooldown on those abilities would be a fair trade-off to allow them to be used. And I think that, we could even use D&D to an extent as an example of how ridiculous some of these cooldowns are. Granted, I think even in D&D, cooldowns aren't really as long as you might think because of the playthrough. But again, like I said, I mean, there's nothing stopping Blizzard from putting an ability on a 5-day cooldown. I mean, they've already got abilities that have a several-day cooldown. I mean, just look at the Zandalari Troll racial ability that allows them to commune with the Zandalari Troll Loa. That's like a 3-day cooldown or something like that. I forget exactly how long it is, but it's not like you can change your patron Loa whenever you want. You're locked into that patron Loa for at least a few days before you can go back and commune with another one. And that's why I don't see any reason why we couldn't implement resurrection abilities into a more hardcore playstyle, or, a hardcore retail, whatever we want to do with that. But again, I think ridiculously long cooldown. There also has to be there should also be certain conditions implemented, such as, maybe somebody becomes incapacitated, or, I mean, granted, incapacitated just means they're knocked out, and that ultimately defeats the purpose of resurrection, because resurrection requires them to be dead. But again, I mean, even in addition to implementing a ridiculously long cooldown on these abilities, implement some sort of ridiculous cooldown on, and even counter on the player that's receiving the resurrection, or the reincarnation, or the bubble hearth. And basically say this person has already benefited from this and must wait X amount of time to benefit from it again. We already have abilities like that where you become fatigued. You know, look at Bloodlust. Look at, Bloodlust / Heroism. Look at, I'm trying to blink on the other ones, but ironically, several classes now have a Bloodlust / Heroism ability. But anyway, I digress. I mean, I think it would definitely be feasible to make a system where those abilities are still workable, even in a hardcore context. Again, we have the duel to the death, which is what I'm most excited about. Like I said, I can really see a lot of, even from a roleplay perspective, I can see a lot of things that can come out of this feature, even in retail. Another interesting thing to note about it is, obviously, they recognize bragging rights. When you kill a player, you get a cosmetic bonus called String of Ears, and basically, these are trophies. My guess is basically it's supposed to be every time you kill an enemy, you get an ear. Apologize for the fireworks going on outside. Whether I close my windows or have them open because they're literally going off right on the street. Nothing I can do. I mean, I could probably call the police department, but that's not going to do much. I mean, technically they are illegal where I live. Just a few years ago they tried to legalize them, and there were some serious incidents. People got hurt and all that stuff. So they banned them again the year after, but again, there's not really much that they can do about it. And by the time they get out here, it takes forever. I'll probably be done with the video by the time they get a police officer out here, because from experience, they're actually responding to calls all across the city. So, yeah, so they're pretty busy as we speak. So we'll just have to tolerate the occasional firework in the background. But anyway, yeah, like I said, back to this topic. The Strings of Ears is obviously treated as a buff. You can't earn it previously before level 10. And again, if there's a certain level difference between you and your opponent, you won't get them either. So again, this is really nice. It gives you a trophy, and again, it makes a lot of sense thematically. I mean, you kill your enemies, you're cutting off their ears and stringing them up and displaying them around your neck, or perhaps making little bracelets with them or whatnot. I mean, probably more likely to be a necklace or some sort of dangly thing you're hanging from your armor. But I think it's really cool. Obviously, they're throwing this out there with all content phases. There won't be any phasing or anything, so basically, it's not going to be progressive. So rather than being progressive, so it'll be it looks like it'll be a fresh start. Hold on, endgame is not the focus. Apparently it's going to be an evergreen experience, which means you can always pop in, have a good time, experience it. It's not fresh start. Might be fresh start, I don't know. It probably will be, especially because it's a brand new server. Obviously, it's not going to be a progressive realm. All content will be available from the start. I don't think, so basically I don't think you're going to have the whole Gates of Encourage thing, so it's just all content from the start. Obviously they want you to play nice, play fair, basically, contrary to how they've previously handled things, Obviously, if you decide you want to just kill a player for the hell of killing them and you're not engaging in consensual PvP, it's not going to be tolerated. How they're going to enforce that is beyond me. But yeah, you just won't be able to grief kill or anything to that effect. You have to engage in consensual, honorable PvP with your opponents, and if you don't, Blizzard will presumably take some form of disciplinary action, whatever that ends up looking like. Obviously, they specify that here. You take action to cause them to be killed. So if you kite a higher level enemy into them, you could get banned for that. If obviously you're making it your goal to engage in a type of play, disruptive play style, they reserve the right to take immediate action. On the flip side, if you're report bombing or intentionally using the rule set against players to attempt to get their account actioned, you'll also be disciplined for that. Deaths can and will happen in normal gameplay. Any sort of retaliation, bullying, abuse or even malicious reporting is going to be will be sanctioned, and you will receive disciplinary action. Again, they just reiterate that it's critical health. These realms, the players are nice, they're fair, and they're not hostile or abusive towards each other. And obviously, So anyway, they say that they're going to be keeping close eye during the test phase, and they're going to adjust things as necessary. I'm guessing that's going to be they're going to adjust their automated reporting system. And who knows? I mean, maybe with these servers, and this is kind of a hope I have. This is probably a bit of hopium here, but maybe we'll see the reemergence of guild masters. I mean, not guild masters, game masters in game. Given the scope of this server, I definitely think a dedicated group of guild masters that go back to the old way of handling things and showing up in game could actually be really cool. And again, if they show up, I mean, obviously they can deal with disputes instantly in game. And so this would be the perfect way for Blizzard to re-implement in-game guild masters, where they pop up in game. I mean, we still see it from time to time. I mean, on PTRs and stuff. I mean, heck, look how many times Asmongold has done something he shouldn't have done, and you got a video where a guild master shows up and just wipes his entire guild in Korthia while he's exploring Korthia and going out of bounds in places he's not supposed to. I mean, it's not the first time. The guy loves to do it, and I personally find a lot of his videos entertaining. And I think there's nothing more entertaining than a GM showing up and wiping an entire group of people who are deliberately in places they shouldn't have been. And it's not like Asmongold didn't know they were there. He knew. But that's why he did it. He did it to elicit a reaction from a GM, and it worked. And it worked to his advantage because he got the content for it. But I digress. I mean, the whole reason I bring it up is because I think it would be awesome if we could go back to the days where guild masters took a much more game masters took a much more personable approach and entered the game in their iconic guild master robes and interacted with the player base and kept a close eye on the hardcore realms. I mean, yeah, you might not see them all the time, but I mean, hey, it would be wonderful to see a guild master pop in. Just watch some PvP combat, or just watch some players questing through Stranglethorn Vale, and something goes wrong, Guildmaster reveals themselves and sanctions them right there and then there. Perhaps revamp Game Master Island, bring it back, put it back into the code, and if something goes wrong, Game Master grabs the player, teleports them to Game Master Island, does their business, and goes on their way. I think there is so much that could come of this, and I think this is the perfect opportunity for a lot of things. But anyway, that's pretty much the gist of what they're doing here. Anyway, let's go ahead and check out what they've got going on here. I know this is just the PTR, but I'm kind of curious, and I wanted to at least check some stuff out. Probably won't play that long, but we'll see what they have to offer here. Obviously, you're going to have your traditional classic WoW classes. Nothing changed there. Does make me wonder what I want to play, because we got to account for the fact that certain abilities are not going to be available, and so it's almost, for instance, shamans are just elemental mages now. Druids are nature mages with the ability to shapeshift. And so there's a lot of stuff that, we can choose from with the available concepts. But purpose of, honestly, so I think, this also gives us a really good option to, play something we wouldn't otherwise play even. And, this is where it's going to get interesting, because there's just so much you can and so much you can't do. So you want to play a healer, this is where you go. Honestly, I would say human priest is best if you're going to go healer. This is going to be interesting, because there's a lot of things that I would have normally wanted to do with a playthrough that just won't be able to get done on a classic realm. And so that's why it's going to be even more interesting. So let's just do an Orc Warrior, I think. Just because I think with the inability to heal and stuff, I might be wrong here, but maybe this is going to be pretty challenging. I mean, don't want him to look too much like Thrall. Let's go ahead and do that. Maybe we'll do red hair. Go with that. I'm not going to make up a name. Argritar. Some of these names are a little difficult to pronounce. Morgan. Apparently there's a disclaimer that they put on here. This is kind of nice. Welcome to WoW Classic Hardcore Realms. Any character who dies on a hardcore realm can never resurrect on that realm for any reason. Customer support cannot resurrect a dead hardcore player. By agreeing to play on these realms, you accept that your character's death is permanent, whatever the reason. This includes disconnections, lags. They definitely need to polish this. I mean, it should be server outages, gameplay bugs, or any other reason due to consensual PvP activities such as a duel to the death or deliberately PvP flagging is part of the game. Obviously, you agree to play on these realms, agree to conduct yourself in appropriate, positive manner without bullying, harassment, hate speech, etc. Basically just, warns you of what's going to happen. And I think that's actually kind of cool that they have that extra layer of extra layer of consent that they put there, and that extra level of disclosure and warning.
Long ago, the Orcish horde was corrupted by the burning.
We're gonna skip this. I mean, we don't really need to see this. Most people don't care about it. That's why they came. But yeah, is that my auto? Yeah, that's my auto attack. Okay. So let's go ahead and see what this ends up looking like. Oh, nice. We gotta. I don't know if it's probably Korean or something, but I think that's kind of cool. I like the fact that the text actually works. And honestly, I think that's something they need to account for, is, especially with what happened with China and the shutting down of the Chinese servers.
May your blades never dull.
It's only inevitable that the other servers were eventually going to get flooded, and in all fairness, you got to feel bad for the Chinese player base, but we've got to find a way to make sure that everybody can play together at this point. Nice. They've brought this new options menu into this. Auto loot. Is it interface where that is? I might have to actually search for this. Instant quest text, there it is. Okay, so should be good for now. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think we're gonna have to find a way to. And at the end of the day, maybe they should just.
Victory.
Just have all of the server sets together on one client at this point, and just accommodate everybody. I mean, it would be nice if we could all learn to get along. So, see how that all plays out in the future. So, just get our heroic strike, which isn't going to do much until we hit our next attack. So this is going to be slow at first. So the downside to a warrior is it is going to be slow at first. Sheesh, I don't play warrior. So I think I have a warrior on. I think I have a warrior somewhere, but it doesn't see much play. Let me see something. Do we have the... Let's see. I'm not going to turn it up all the way. I'm not going to kill my graphics card. I'm just kind of curious to see what it's going to look like in Classic. I don't think I've ever... I have never toyed around with these options in Classic WoW, so if anybody cares to comment, let me know if this is actually in retail now. I mean, not retail, but Wrath Classic, because I actually haven't gone on there in a while. But focus on killing some boars here. Probably don't need to be moving around so much. I don't know why I have a tendency to move. So yeah, I don't play. I mean, obviously, like I said, I don't play warrior at all. Like I said, I might have it around somewhere, but it's not a class I tend to have. I don't really have much fun playing a warrior, but I just think it's best. It's a good class for hardcore, especially because you're not limiting yourself ability-wise in many ways. You can pretty much use a warrior's entire toolkit. So. a lot of the reason I think this is going to end up being a shorter video is because I don't know how long I'm going to survive. I might play until death. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen right away. Another advantage of starting with an orc is they actually start with an axe, two-handed axe, which means that from the start they're already building their two-handed axe stat. Let me make sure I get this reported before I forget, because I want to make sure they know on character creation. Riddled with typos would be a hypocrite if I don't make sure I don't have typos. Is riddled with typos and grammar issues. Definitely use some polish. / disclaimer. But a lot of people might not care about that, but I'm sure there's plenty of people that are going to look at that and be like, why did that go live? So now it's reported. Hopefully I'm not the only person that has, because obviously the more people that report, nice. He's also an orc shaman, which can't go wrong with shaman. Scorpion tails. Simple parchment.
Go
warrior quest.
to victory.
Hold on. Wait. What's nice, I don't know if that's new or what. I guess, I mean, I've never noticed that, but apparently your quest objective is marked on the mini-map now, which, again, I don't know if that's new or what. I haven't played Classic era for a while. It's also been a while since I actually hopped on a character on Wrath, but eventually I will get back to that, especially because I want to finish that shaman, that two-handed enhancement shaman series. Good luck. Return to me when you feel ready. Okay. Obviously, Battle Shout. However, it requires 10 copper to learn. Can't learn it yet. Let's pick up her request for the Vile Failures. Granted, it's only going to give me a one-handed weapon, and I really don't care. I mean, I guess I could take it, maybe work on one-handed simultaneously. Strength. Cactus apple.
What can I do for you?
Let's go ahead and equip these. We don't want to sell those. We definitely want them equipped. Let's hold on to this because, again, if I decide I want to utilize it, I can. Especially if I decide I want to use it with the sword that I'm making, the axe. Which, we'll see. Okay, let's go log. Let's go ahead and track all of those. Love the beauties of Classic where it didn't auto track. Is there an option to allow outline mode? Nope. That's not bad though. It's probably a good thing that we don't have an outline mode. And I forgot to go get Battle Shout, so we should probably go get that, or else we're potentially gonna die. I mean, yeah. Okay. Let me see. those actually better? 21. It might be trash, but they're actually better than what I have right now. That's kind of funny. Well, they don't really give you a lot of mail options starting out, I guess.
Lotar,
We'll learn our battle shout.
go forth to victory.
Let's go back over here and sell. Somebody's already dead. Presumably because they did the whole duel to the death, which is actually an option.
Zug zug.
Like I said, I can see that being a really big thing with
Dabu.
guilds. So going to see if anybody thinks that the Mak'gora really ain't got problems.
Need more rage.
Well, they should, you know, make it to where if you flee, it sends to death. If it's against your guild master, you're auto-exiled from the guild. Should be, fleeing should be insta-death, or it's versus your, should be a auto. Wow. Health debuff. Something. Something. But again, if it's auto guild exile. From that guild. See a lot of opportunity with it. Bajillion. I just see so much potential with a system like that. I mean, it's... I think there's so much they could do with it. Obviously, if I'm not focusing on playing, I'm never going to die.
Nice.
Because the Mak'gora daughter would be...
Need more rage.
something. The punishment needs to be lasting and not just cosmetic. Punishments need to be lasting. Yes, to where they make you literally think about it. Well. Destructible buildings. So much there. Guild alerts if you challenge your guild master. I think they also need to implement the requirement for witnesses. I think they also should implement the for witnesses.
No.
Skill PvP. Well, like I'm referring to just the Mak'gora. Cannons. Well, I'm referring to the Mak'gora itself, shoot 'em up. That's always 1v1. Oh yeah, we can't forget that in addition to they should implement the blessing rule. Yeah, they should implement the blessing rule. Perhaps make more sense of wrath / blessing rule more because it could be made into a profession even, or a subset of, or support. / paladin / shaman. BC onward. As both sides have shamans, but yeah, that was something else. Like, I mean, I'm glad I'm chatting with people here because obviously there are two vitally important things that still seem to be missing from the duel to the death. And those are witness requirements and blessings. Including the requirement for witnesses, the allowances of blessings. Choosing should be added specific blessings. Paladin for Alliance. Players choosing. For this purpose. That's a good thing. Keybinds. And honestly, I mean, I think if they were to expand this feature, this would be really good. With blessings. Later expansions. But again, blessings need to be specific to the duel to death. The reason I say restrict it to, like right now, like in Classic, you know, you want to make sure that Paladins have it, because if you restrict it to, unless they open it up to, you know, cross-faction, you kind of have to let Paladins do the blessings for the Alliance, and that kind of makes sense. I mean, really, you would have Paladins doing the blessing because they are the class that does that, or perhaps a priest. I mean, the reason I use Paladins is because obviously they were the opposite hero class. You know, we don't really consider Shamans and Paladins hero classes, at least anymore, but they were in vanilla. So I think, you know, there's so much they could do with these things, and I really think that this is a system worth improving upon. So we'll see. Do a last cactus apple. Okay. Let's get over here, kill this guy. Poisoned. It doesn't do a whole lot. Inflicting 1 nature damage every 3 seconds. It's not a lot. Obviously, if you die from that, you're really stupid. Additional Mak'gora rules. Witness requirement.
Need more wood.
So many shields. A lot of shamans. I mean, it looks like shamans obviously priests. I think the reason why so many people are opting to go for shaman or priest is because of all the healing they have. Now, don't get me wrong, is that a bad thing? Probably not. I mean, if you're gonna go for those classes, it's gonna be definitely a bit of an easier trek to level 60 because you have all that healing. Sadly, most of those classes can't tank. I mean, obviously, a paladin can, but paladin and druid are a couple good examples of classes that might be able to serve as tank, and also let you heal as you level. Nice. Let's see what the damage on that weapon is. I mean, if it's better, we'll probably use it. Otherwise, I mean, we'll see. But okay. Shamans. You got a orc warrior over there. That's cool. Not the only one who wants to run a orc warrior. It's kind of nice to see a lot more things are actually. Let's go see if Sarkoth is up here. My hope is he's up here and I don't have to wait. Scorpion worker. Somebody's up here. Light. So we don't want to miss out on Sarkoth. shamans. Why is Hunter so bad, lol?
Not enough.
You're obviously not. Yeah. That's fine. If he's obviously not, then we're not going to worry about it. Better duel to settle this. See, this is why there's going to be so much. You know, the whole duel to the death is going to be so much fun. People getting upset and they're like, "Oh yeah, let's just duel and settle this." And trust me, I wish this is how it always was. There's so many times where I wish I could just meet up with another player in the open world and be like, "Look here, let's fight." And you can do that now. I mean, I do think that there needs to be... I do think that, I mean, not that there needs to be, but I do think that it would be cool to see them add the other traditional Mak'gora rules. And I do think that, you know, as I keep saying, I think they're doing a lot with this server, and it's just amazing. And again, I absolutely love some of the stuff they've done. Obviously, right now, I think they're just a little too easy. I mean... that could just be me. It could just be that I chose a different class. I mean, I could have chose a class that's actually pretty good.
Range.
Okay. Nope.
Not enough. Need more rage.
And I mean, the nice thing about Classic is it really was already set up for this whole thing. Nice, it's fine. I tagged it. I tagged it. Nice. Nine of 12. I managed to tag it. Good. Here we go.
Not enough rage. Need more rage. Not enough rage.
I don't think you can actually... Can you? I don't know. Okay, good.
I will return the favor. Need more rage. Not enough rage. I can't carry anymore. Inventory is full.
So, I mean, so far, I mean, we're not like we're dying, but a lot of that's partially because I'm playing it pretty, I'm playing it pretty smartly. But again, I'm just in the starting area. So, honestly, if you guys want to see more of these videos, and you want to see me continue the journey on this character, let me know. Obviously, servers are going to go live eventually. I forget exactly what day that is. I think it's relatively soon, to be honest. I'd have to check the exact date. If anybody knows that off the top of their head,
Speak, friend.
you know, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know in the comments when this goes from PTR to live. But yeah, I mean, if you guys like these videos and you want to see me play more of it, let me know. Drop a comment. Let me know what class you want to see me play. Obviously, I've never really gotten into warrior, and so honestly,
Be safe.
especially because you would think it would be difficult at first glance, it is definitely something that I want to do. If you want to see me continue as a warrior, let me know. If you want to see me play another class, also let me know. Especially for when the time this server comes live. Yeah, this is definitely better.
Strength
Plus,
and
we can
honor.
also continue our... Let's get Rend. Obviously, we want Rend, so... It's obviously... So let's
Speak, friend. May your
sell
blade
that, because I mean, obviously, it's kind of pointless when this is better anyway. Might be a stupid decision, but hey. I don't really care.
Blood and thunder.
Let's do this.
For the Horde. Strength.
Belt for now, it's obviously better.
Down.
Obviously, we're going to take the
Go for
chain leggings.
victory.
Okay. Do you have any more quests? No, I think I'm on the other quest, the Burning Blade Medallion. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sell these items that I don't need
What are you
anymore.
looking for? Farewell.
Gold. Let me double check to make sure I don't have anything else to learn real quick. But I think this is where we're probably going to leave off this video.
strength and honor.
Nope, nothing. Not till level 6, but... Oh, hold on. What level do you learn Party at?
Lotar.
6. Okay, so yeah, this is where we're going to leave off this video. Kind of just wanted to take a look at what's going on with the hardcore realms. Obviously, it looks pretty cool. I mean, a lot of people obviously seem to have high hopes for it. Again, if you guys want to see me make hardcore videos, let me know. Let me know what class you want me to play. Also, again, I might very well make the classic videos with a warrior, especially because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it really would be a lot of fun to just run around as an orc warrior. It's not something I really do much, so I think it'd be a lot of fun. Be a change of pace, that's for sure. And again, you know, who knows? Maybe I might become a master of the warrior class. So again, if you like the video, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you leave me a comment. You know, let me know what you want in terms of future hardcore classic videos. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.